Ah.
Nice.
Okay, I think we're ready to go.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our South Weaver City Council meeting of May 12th, 2020. It's 6:01 p.m. now, and we'll call the meeting to order. All council members are in attendance. We will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Soderquist, and then I will give the prayer.
Okay, please stand and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, we're grateful to meet together tonight, to have the city council meeting. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve the public here in South Weaver. We're grateful for the citizens here, and ask that we will make decisions that will be the best for our citizens. Please guide and direct us in all that we do. Father, especially at this time, we're grateful for the first responders and all those who work to keep us safe and well, and pray for their safety. And please help them to know of our love and appreciation for them. And please protect them in all they do. We're grateful for all of our blessings. We're grateful that we have had low cases of COVID here in South Weaver, and pray that that may continue for our city, that we'll be washed over and blessed by thee. And we ask for thy spirit in this meeting now, and say these things in thy son's name. Amen.
And
All right. First of all, we'll have our coronavirus update. And Dave, let me know if there's something you want to add to this, but Davis County is conducting a study of random household testing in which members of each household are given 2 tests, a blood test to check for antibodies, as well as a PCR test, which is the one the swab inserted into the nostril. This study will help us more accurately define how many active cases, exposed individuals, and asymptomatic cases we might have missed in the past. So there will be about 8,000 households tested in 2 communities in Davis County. Brian Hatch, the Davis County Health Director, does not anticipate a change from orange to yellow risk level by Friday, but does anticipate one by the end of the month. And that's all I have. Dave, did you have anything to add to that?
Only that he says numbers are looking good in Davis County as a whole. Of Davis County, South Weaver is looking really good based on confirmed cases and the numbers that they have, the reports that they have. So we're in a good spot locally, and that's good news. They are looking to follow the data and the reports and the trends, and really trying to gather as much data as they can as they make choices. But we're doing really well on the whole, especially in South Weaver and in Davis County.
That's right. And we do not have any active cases that we know of right now. So the one case we did have, I believe, is recovered. So that's good news as well. All right.
Mayor, quick question.
Yes, Quinn.
On the random household testing, did they say which 2 communities, and how would people know when they come to your door?
They did not say which 2 communities. They're reaching out to these households, and they don't disclose any information about them or how they're really conducting that. So,
Okay.
But hopefully it will give us some better data on, especially those cases that are asymptomatic, that they might have built up antibodies and we just don't know if they've already been exposed. So it'll hopefully it will help get us some better numbers. Anyway, we'll probably hear more about that as we go along. So we'll get you any new information that we receive. So, all right.
I see
Public
Angie's
comment.
hand raised.
Oh, I need to pull that up. Hold on. Sorry about that. Angie.
I just want to know if we would be waiting for data from that testing before they consider moving from orange to yellow, or will this just be just more data throughout our whole process during this pandemic?
That's a good question. I don't have an answer for that either, but we can ask them and see. Brian says that we're getting very close to a yellow phase. I don't know what that means, but he didn't believe it would happen by Friday. So I don't know if they're going to wait for that data. It sounds like they're anticipating a change really soon. So I don't know if they'd have the numbers back from that or not. So
Okay, thank you.
If I can add, based on the numbers that the county health department reported in a meeting yesterday, it shows over the last 4 weeks a decrease in the total number of cases each week until this last week. So this last week we moved from red to orange, and then during that time the number stopped decreasing and brought up just a little bit over the week previously. So it wasn't a spike per se, but the numbers did not continue to decrease. It more has looked almost like a plateau. And so because of that, there was a little bit of a hesitancy to rapidly move into yellow. Although some questions were very targeted from the mayors asking if the governor decided to stay in orange, if as a county, we would petition to move to yellow because our numbers are looking really good comparative to the rest of the state. And he said that based on that plateau, he was a little bit hesitant to do that, although it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. So I think they're just looking to see if that 1 week change in trend turns into a long-term change in trend, or if it was more of just a one time. So there was a slight change in trend, and I think that gave them pause.
and he thinks that there'll be another probably similar slight change in trend upward next week. But he says he really can't determine what's going to happen until you've done the new phase for 2 or 3 weeks. So we're still waiting. Councilwoman Alberts.
Just 2 questions. Dave, when you said there was an uptick, was that just for Davis County only? I missed that part.
The numbers I was referring to are reported as Davis County only, yes.
Okay. And then if you are tested positive for antibodies, will they add that to the cases, to the data of cases, or what is their hopes to do with anybody with antibodies?
That's a good question. I think if they have antibodies, then they have been exposed. Is that correct, Dave? And they would probably add them as a case, I would think. So
I honestly don't know. I'm not sure how they would treat that information. I think it's hard to change how you measure and how you report midway through the process, but this whole thing has been learning and adapting as we go. And so I'm not sure what their plan is there.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Petty, do you have something?
Just one more question. So would that be a voluntary, you said it's a voluntary testing, right? If they come to your door, you would say, yes, I consent to be tested, right?
Well, I would think so. I don't think they're going to force anyone to test. I
just want to clarify.
No, that's a good question. I can't imagine they would force it on someone. I'm pretty sure that they'd have to consent to that. So, but I think people are anxious to find out if they, although I've heard that swab test is nasty, so I don't know. But I would love to find out if my family had been exposed or not. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay. Let's move on. Public comment. I don't know that we need to go through the rules again, but I will, just one more time. All comments must be submitted by email to publiccomment@southwebercity.com, and we must receive them prior to the meeting start time. The subject line should include the meeting date, item number, or general comment, first and last name. And comments without a first or last name will not be included in the public record. So, all right, let's move to our action items. First of all, we've got approval of the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of April 14th and April 28th. Are there comments or questions on public comment? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda minutes for April 14th and April 28th as revised and amended prior to this meeting.
Thank you, Councilman Soderquist. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, Councilman Halverson. Any further comment?
So
All right.
on the copy that I see right here, it still shows the, on what page is this? On the April 14 minutes, it still shows the error on here. Oh, you know what? She had to resend me. I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong one. With the amendments.
That's
Sorry,
all
yep.
good. Those changes did get made, correct, Lisa? To the minutes?
I'm so
Lisa?
sorry.
Are you there? I'm pretty sure.
There was an email that was sent out with the revised minutes.
All right.
Yes, the attachments were, the citizen comments were attached to the minutes for the 28th, and the changes were made for Angie and as Quinn suggested regarding Jared's comment.
Awesome. All right, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we will have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 You guys still remember where you sit on the stand. I'm impressed. Good job. All right. Next we have Resolution 2020-15, which is adoption of the 2020-2021 tentative budget, and was also to set a public hearing for June 9th, 2020. So per state law, the city is required to prepare and file a tentative budget for the upcoming fiscal year by the first city council meeting in May. City staff, along with various council committees, have spent the last 4 months working through the budget process and have developed the tentative budget to be ready for adoption. The city council has discussed the expenses and revenues in the tentative budget during council meetings, and tonight we'll be formally adopting the tentative budget and setting a public hearing date for June 9th, 2020, prior to adoption of the final budget for fiscal year 2020-2021. Okay, comments or questions? Okay, Hearing-
Regarding anything specific in the budget?
yes.
Okay. On capital projects, page 11 of the tentative budget, the first item is for the fire department for the power lift gurney. So I just want to know the discussion for the public safety, or that the public safety committee had, because this was presented to us for this current year, and we talked about budgeting it for next year. But in his presentation, Chief Tolman did say that there was an option to get this power lift gurney with maybe fewer options, and would cost about $17,000 or $18,000 less, I think is what he said. So just trying to look for different ways to cut costs, if maybe this is something they can still have with fewer options. I'm just throwing that out there. I know this is just the tentative budget, but I'd love to hear the conversation. So I just don't want the fire department to get so much of the budget, and we can kind of, cut costs where we can.
Well, as the Public Safety Committee, we have not met since that discussion and had the discussion regarding what items would be acceptable. And Wayne, correct me if I'm wrong, but so I think that's why Mac put the whole budget in there.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I had a conversation with Chief Tolman today regarding this, and he said that there may be options to, to cut budget. They would want to vet those options and look into, what that balance is between the need and cost, obviously. But they're, as a fire department, he said they're willing to look at ways to reduce costs, obviously, and just would want to vet the options. So there are two suppliers, and those were the two different quotes that we got that were presented to the council previously for discussion, as far as the model and the specs that were initially discussed. So I think that we can have that conversation between now and the final budget and see if there's additional options, and he's probably one to get involved in that and be able to describe what that balance is between the need and the options.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
All right, any other comments?
I just have a question. On the streetlights on page 10, it talks about how a new streetlight policy was adopted. I know the developers are paying for that expense at this time. I was wondering, do we have like an ETA on when we're going to be expanding that into existing neighborhoods, those streetlights?
The Municipal Utilities Committee has started down that path a little bit. Right now, the staff is trying to develop the plan for what it would take in order to switch out all of the lights. And we're just not quite to the point where we're able to get that in front of the Municipal Utilities Committee. But ultimately, it would be a plan that would target replacement of current lights and have them be switched over to the city-owned lights rather than Rocky Mountain Power, and to the new style of lights. And we would just need to determine how long we want that replacement program to last based on how much it would cost. Anywhere from let's just do them all in 1 year versus let's spread that out over time. And we're just still developing that plan.
Great. Thank you.
Dave, I know this puts you on the spot and I don't expect a firm answer, but do you know where we are on the lights for the new developments? If they're close to being installed, or what?
You will see toward the end of this month an agenda item to award the project for installation of those lights.
Okay, great. All right, any other comments, questions? All right.
Sorry, I have one more.
Go ahead, Haley.
You said the public hearing is set for June 9th. Is that right? Will that take place at City Hall, or how will we do a public hearing under these circumstances?
So we hope to have a whole lot more information by the time we get, a month out into June. If will be in a situation similar to we are right now, where we need to be on Zoom, we've been looking into options to have the public be able to join the Zoom call or call into a phone number and have that participate that way. We're looking into ways to make that happen so that a public hearing is different than just general public comment based on state requirements and various things. So we anticipate being able to accommodate that public hearing. The format is still a little bit undecided. We're working hard to try to get the council back into the council chambers. The timing for that is still being worked on, as well as the idea of when the public will be back in the room. We may find ourselves in a situation where city council's in one room, but we don't have the public there yet. So we're still far enough out that that's yet to be determined, but we will have a format available for the public to be involved in a public hearing, whether that's electronic or in person, one at a time, coming into the council chambers or something. There are ways to do that, and we'll make sure that we have tested them and are in a good spot for that.
I might just say that every city in the state is asking the same question. They're asking it of the governor, of the state attorney, and because the legal ramifications and definition of a public hearing in state law, and that hasn't been clarified by the state yet. as to how public hearings for budget and going forward will be done during this period of time. So part of it is waiting for legal opinions and for the state to give us more information on how we can do it, what are our options. And once we have that, then we will proceed with which option the council wants to follow and use. But we're all sitting kind of a little bit waiting on public hearings and how that works in the state of Utah right now.
I know that lots of cities are still holding public hearings, but there's lots of different formats that they're choosing. So we're still trying to figure out what works best for us based on those guidelines.
All right. Any other comments? All right, then do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-15 and also setting the public hearing for June 9th? Do we do those together? Dave, is that all right?
I believe that should be two separate motions.
Okay, so let's first ask for a motion for resolution 2020-15, adoption of the 2020-2021 tentative budget.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution 2020-15, adoption of the 2020-2021 tentative budget.
Thank you, Councilwoman Alberts. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Councilman Windsor. Any further comment? And we will have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Halverson.
Aye.
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 And the motion carries. All right, now do I have a motion to set the public hearing for June 9th, 2020?
So moved.
Councilman Windsor, do I have a second?
Seconded.
Second.
Councilman Halverson. Okay, any further comment? We'll have a roll call vote beginning with Councilman Windsor.
Aye.
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 The motion carries unanimously. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll now move to reports. First of all, do we have any new business? Okay. Hearing none, let's move to council reports. I will begin. Uinta City approaches about our shared boundary, knowing that the owners of their business park property want to continue building and the southern portion of their property is within South Weber. So Dave Barry and I met with representatives from Uinta to discuss the boundary and jointly determined that a working group comprised of representatives from both cities would get together and provide a recommendation to both cities for what should be done. The representative from council who will be participating is Blair Halverson, and the representative from Planning Commission will be Rob Osborne. I will also be in on those meetings as well as Barry Burton. Also, Wasatch Integrated Waste should have their sorting station to sort out green waste, plastics, paper, etc., up and running by August. They will begin at about 50% capacity in order to train and work out kinks in the system, and then they'll run at full capacity next year. All right, let's go to Councilman Halverson.
I don't have a lot to report. Public Safety Committee, we're continuing to meet on Wednesdays. I think we missed last week, but the CERT program, thanks to Brandon Bodley, is moving forward, and also thanks to Chief Tolman. The other one, just I saw that Brandon has moving forward with getting the contract put together, or the bid put together for the red painting of the red zone of 2,700. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, we've identified the specs for the project, and now we're just getting ready to solicit the quotes.
Okay. I don't believe there's anything other at this time.
Thank you, Councilman Halverson. Councilwoman Alberts.
You're muted.
Yes.
Sorry, I can't hear.
Now?
There, I heard you for a sec.
Okay, am I going?
Yes.
Okay, what the heck? All right, just a couple of quick things. We have our first town hall meeting scheduled for July 7th of this year. And we'll be, once that gets closer, we'll have a little bit more information. That's also going to be how we work that will be determined on what we're doing with COVID at that time. So more information will be coming forth soon. And Angie is actually going to start us off on our council member corner for the newsletter for June. So she's getting ready. I'll take July, and then Shaylee has a schedule for us. So I'll make sure to get that out for her so you guys can plan accordingly. And I think that's it for me.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Alberts. Councilman Soderquist.
I don't have anything new to report this week.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Petty.
The Parks and Recreation Committee met and we discussed a lot of things. We talked about how this is affecting, how the COVID pandemic has affected our recreation department. How, oh my gosh, Quinn, what else did we talk about? Trails. We just
Yeah, we
did
talked
an
about a
update
lot.
of
The
all
trail,
of our parks. It was probably our longest parks meeting we've ever had.
the dog park. We
The
did
dog
have the
park.
one.
Thank you. Thank you. We reviewed the rules for the dog park. And that with that, we will be having a new code for review about rules in all of our parks that will be coming up as a discussion item. And we did a review of how our parks priority projects are coming along. So they're coming along nicely and should be able to start construction in Cherry Farms this fall if it works out for recreation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe and Dave. That's what we decided, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Hmm.
Also, so as a council, we decided to open the playgrounds, and I had so many moms call and tell me how appreciative they were of that. And I know that seems like a really small thing. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional because like some of the texts that I got from these moms were just like, it was a relief off of their shoulders to be able to take their kids there. So something so small but made such a difference. So I appreciate the council, and that was well received. And that's all I have to report.
Hey, thank you, Councilwoman Petty. Councilman Windsor.
Can you follow that up? No, I have nothing new to report.
All right. Thank you. Dave.
Nothing for me either.
Wow. Okay. Mark McCray, did you have anything?
No, nothing tonight.
All right. I didn't see Brandon here, so let's move to Lisa.
I do not have anything.
All right. And Michelle?
Nada.
Okay. Then if there is no
Dave.
further, oh, yes, Dave.
You said that you didn't see Brandon, so that made me want to explain. I had a conversation with him this week, and all the other members of staff don't attend city council meeting if there isn't a specific item. And somewhere along the lines, Brandon, it became an expectation for him to attend pretty much every city council meeting, even if there wasn't an item on the agenda. So we're freeing up his time and having him follow the same kind of rules of engagement that everybody else does on the staff level. And that is, when there's specific items, he'll be here. When there's not specific items, then I told him to do other city projects, but I told him to have some additional time with his family. So that's why he's not going to be on every single council meeting anymore.
Great. Okay, thank you.
30 minutes or less.
What's that?
So our meeting is 30 minutes or less.
It's because Brandon's not here. He's just always gone. All right, but actually we can't close yet. I will entertain a motion to go into a closed session for Utah Code 52-4-2051C to enter into closed session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
Councilwoman Alberts and Councilman Halverson seconded it. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we will now move to a closed session.